The death toll from Spain's worst floods in decades soared to 158 on Thursday. Emergency services and officials said as rescue services worked frantically to find survivors. The body coordinating rescue work in the eastern Valencia region announced that 155 bodies have been recovered there. That's how we'll make you welcome to today's edition of the program, The Desk on Global Television. My name is Anthony Momodu. Welcome to today's edition where we'll be looking at issues from very deep perspective, giving a very balanced analysis for you to get well informed as we look at big issues making the rounds. From Spain, we'll be going to other parts of the world as we tend to cover every inch and breadth of the globe. We'll be taking you from Spain, where the flood is still at its worst, and we'll take you straight to the African continent and take you to Botswana, where the Botswanan president, Mokgweetsi Masisi, said on Friday that he would step aside after his party suffered a resounding defeat in the general elections, according to preliminary tallies. We'll be looking at the fact that he decided to eat the humble pie and what lessons can be learned from there. We'll be taking you to the presidency, where Sunday Dare is in the news this evening. The special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on public communications and orientation, Sunday Dare, has said that the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, would not have emerged as president in 2015 if not for Bola Tinubu. The former Minister of Sport and Youth Development hailed Tinubu's role in the emergence of Buhari before dislodging the Goodluck Jonathan-led federal government in 2015. Buhari had contested for the presidency in 2003, 2007, 2011 elections, but failed. So we'll be looking at clearly what this message is trying to pass. And the big question is, how many spokesperson is Mr. President having? Now we are having Sunday Dare coming out as also a spokesperson for public communications and orientation, and Onanuga, talking now about Onanuga, is information and strategy and information. We also did have Ngalale before he was controversially edged out of the presidency. So too many cooks for Mr. President. All right, from there we'll be moving to other talking point, as we've got the National Economic Council, Nigeria's highest economic advisory body, and Thursday recommended the inclusion of the Southeast and South-South in the construction of dams. The council also backed an earlier federal government directive mandating the Ministry of Water, Resources and Sanitation to commence a comprehensive integrity test of Nigeria's waterways and dams to mitigate flooding. That's a very interesting point we'll be looking at as the Anambra State Governor, Professor Charles Soludo, reviewed this after the 144th meeting of the Council, chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. Also, we'll be going forward to look at other issues making the rounds so that we'll give you a balanced perspective. We'll be taking a very interesting point from the Afenifere group, talking about the social political organization. Afenifere has cheated President Bola Tinubu's administration over the absence of official empathy concerning the agony and distressing state of the nation which Nigerians are presently grappling with, arising from a meeting held at the residence of its leader, talking about Pa Ayo Adebanjo at Ogun State. The group lamented that the federal government sounded distant from the pervasive hardship and unflagging insecurity and incapacitating hunger that Nigerians grapple with. How true this is the big talking point on today's edition of the program, The Desk. And not forgetting something very interesting coming from the judiciary, where the Court of Appeal in Abuja Division on Thursday reserved judgment in appeal instituted by the indigenous people of Biafra. All right, one man who's got the big task of helping us look at all this and other stories is no other person but Abdul Wahab Adebu, who is a national political affairs analyst and also former chieftain of one of the big political parties, helping us to look at these issues from a very close and deep perspective. Thank you, Adebu, for making it to the studios.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's begin from Spain, where it's been flooding, and the key factor there is the fact that climate change is one of the key reasons why the flooding, which is named Dana, has caused a lot of havoc for the Spanish nation and its citizens. 155 already confirmed dead, more death to increase, and rescue still ongoing. How dangerous is the issue of climate change? And do you think the African continent, Nigeria as a country, has taken the issue of climate change serious enough? Because if this is happening to Spain, which seem more developed, more advanced, and more prepared, is facing such havoc, what befalls Nigeria?
Our heartfelt goes to the people that have lost their lives in Spain. 155 human beings is not an easy nut to crack in the first place. When you check, the flood itself tagged Dana.
Yeah.
They will keep on giving it names, but then when the climate change, the activities of the climate change is not checked. If you check from the Mediterranean Sea, the Mediterranean is being encroached into. And by the time you try to compress the water or the sea,
It
try to curtail it. It will always try to find its way. And that is just the problem. They are just giving it name, calling it climate change. Climate change, when you try to disrupt the movement of water, there's nothing you can do about it. This is not a tornado. You get me? It's a flood. So the water is trying to force its way out to where it's supposed to flow.
In terms of preparedness,
Yes.
Should we be worried as Nigerians? We did see whenever the river, the dam in Yaoundé in Cameroon overflows, especially Kogi, the confluence town, it also has benefited from the wrong side when there's an outburst of dams. How worried should we be?
We should be worried. I think about less than a week ago, I passed through Kogi State. And you can see that the water is already...
The water levels?
The water level is already closing in on the road. Just a few meters away from the major road. Just like as we used to see year in, year out. So it calls for us to be worried. Nothing is done to cushion the effect of this year in, year out. So we should be worried. This thing is happening in Spain. These are well-advanced countries. Not Nigeria, not we that we are developing. So there's every cause for us to worry because the flood is already threatening.
All right, let's come back home sweet home. Let's move to the next talking points. We're looking at the economic hardship. And we've got Afenifere, which is a pan-social Yoruba group, making such a very sweeping statement saying the Tinubu-led administration seem not to have empathy, official empathy on what Nigerians are going through. Do you think this goes to show probably the fact that even where the president is coming from, they're also feeling the pinch and they're also crying out? And do you expect the president to probably react since it's the Afenifere group that is speaking now?
The president is president of Nigeria.
Yes.
He's not president of Afenifere. Or is he only the Afenifere people that knows that there's hardship in the land?
Probably because they're the ones speaking, he would know that it's real and not that it's a certain quarter of the country that is trying to, malign his administration.
No, that's not correct. The president is sane. The president, I think, is having sleepless nights. You see, the decision to remove subsidy, I think, was hastily done. Because if you want to remove subsidy in the first place, you are supposed to have prepared some certain arrangement that will cushion the effect. This was not done. When you talk about what is happening, the hardship that people are facing in Nigeria today, they keep increasing the price of fuel every day, and nobody is talking. They have the money to buy. Go to the road today and see. Now that is the heat of time, you see the way people suffer to look for vehicle to go to their houses. You see how people are trekking back to their various homes. Well, there is hardship in the land. You don't need to tell the president to know. The president, commander-in-chief, should know that there's hardship.
Is insisting that the government seems distant. And how would the president know? When the president doesn't walk on the streets, he doesn't drive on the street per se. He has light 24 hours, so he doesn't know if there's a power outage in the country.
If he does not
He doesn't buy fuel with his own money.
if he doesn't see what is happening in the country, he hears.
But
He
people
listens.
around him do not tell him the truth.
They need to tell him. For instance, let's take Ghana for instance. Ghana is cutting down taxes from every facet of their lives. But in our own case, we are still presenting bills upon bill for us to.
Doesn't that not prove to what FNFI is saying, that the government is distant from the reality on ground?
I think Nigerians will take a cue from Ghana, from what they have done, or from what they are doing. Their National Assembly has passed that bill. It's in their budget. Why are we retrogressing instead of progressing at all times? There is no doubt that people are suffering. There's no doubt about that. You don't need to tell anybody. You don't need to tell a soothsayer. Even the deaf can hear, and the blind can see from the type of hardship that we are facing in this country today. But I am praying that the president is on the right channel. We don't know how his program looks like at this point in time, but he said he knows where he's going. So let's pray that this thing, there will be a lot of activities from government that will cushion this hardship that the people are facing.
Do you think the people have said enough? The social, political groups, have they shown enough to probably drum into the ears of the presidency if what FNFI is saying is true, that the government is distant? Does that call for more action by the Nigerian people for the government to probably come to reality as to what Nigerians are going through? Not necessarily protests, but in other forms.
Let me tell you, so long as the dollar continues to roll up, there's nothing you can do about it. The insensitivity of government is being displayed by the way you see the level of hardship in the country today. I want to assure you very, very strongly that the moment we were thinking that by the time the Dangote refinery came on stream, the whole thing will come down. But reverse is the case. So your guess is as good as mine. I think everybody is confused. They are not even thinking about how the people feeds. If a bag of rice, for instance, 50 kgs is over 100,000 today, what is the minimum wage? What is the minimum wage? Which civil servant can go home or can boast of buying a bag of rice with the salary he's receiving?
And doesn't that translate to more corrupt practices by the civil servants in order to meet up, cutting corners? Doesn't that explain that we're likely to have more corruption? The
corruption is everywhere. It's within every facet of the economy. And so, fighting corruption, just like what they are trying to do from the periphery. How do you fight corruption and you are seeing what is happening from the judiciary? You are seeing what is happening within the system, and you say you are fighting corruption? EFCC, when you talk about how do you call it, Yahoo boy as the target, they know where they are. But some of these high profile corruption cases are left unattended to. And you are talking about the hardship people are facing. Nobody, these people does not have time. They care less about the citizen. That's how I see it.
All right, let's move to the next talking point. And just wanted to ask, what do you think could be the solution to this talking point we just raised?
You see, where there is injustice, there's always element of violence within that environment. The injustice that is being meted to people that deserve justice in this country today, if left unchecked, there's no way, there's no how they can check corruption. corruption is everywhere. Shamelessly, some of these high-profile offices that you are seeing are defending corruption. So I am telling you, there's no way. I don't think the solution, the President Commander-in-Chief, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is trying to see how he can ameliorate this situation. But I think he's falling on hard bricks.
What a sad commentary there. Let's move on to the next talking point. We're looking at the federal government asking a court to dismiss IPOB appeal. That's where we're moving on next, where the Abuja division on Thursday reserved a judgment in an appeal instituted by the indigenous people of Biafra challenging its prosecution as a terrorist organization by the federal government. IPOB, in its appeal, is praying the appellate court to nullify in its entirety the ruling of the late former Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice Abdul Rafati, which on September 15, 2017 outlawed its activities in Nigeria. The trial court proscribed IPOB following an ex parte motion filed by the immediate past Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami SAN, on behalf of the federal government. Justice Abdul Rati, in a ruling, declared all IPOB activities as illegal, specifically the group's activities in the southeast and south-south regions of the country. He restrained any person or group of persons from participating in any of the group's activities. He further held that IPOB constituted a threat to the national security, while he dismissed the argument that the group, not being a registered entity in Nigeria, could not be validly sued by the federal government. Justice Abdul Kararafti held that the fact that IPOB claimed that it was registered in over 40 countries in the world aside from Nigeria did not exculpate it from legal liabilities if it was found to have, by its activities, violated any law in Nigeria. The late CJ directed the AGF to publish the order prosecuting the group in 2 national dailies and online platforms. But one of the strong points IPOB is saying, is picking as its defense, calling for these prayers, is the fact that they've not been found to be a violent group.
Of course, when let me go this way. You are talking about IPOB, and the government said it has proscribed that organization. If you have proscribed that organization, why are you having Nnamdi Kanu in detention? Why are you having him in detention? You understand? Go to the eastern flank of the country. I think every Monday there is what they call sit at home. If Nigerian government or if the system have not been able to remove the sit at home and allow people to go about their normal businesses for over how many years now, and you are holding one person responsible for it, what is happening to our armed forces? If it is something that they needed to execute or to carry an action on, holding in Nnamdi Kanu, I don't think is the answer to the issue of IPOB. And if it's prescribed, just like the way we are reading on the national dailies, because so many things are coming out from the judiciary, you never can tell which one is the right decision from there. So if the Chief Justice of Nigeria can come up with a categorical statement or a judgment, let them publish it out.
They have already, but IPOB is saying that the fact that the former AGF suppressed and misrepresented facts in the affidavit evidence he tendered before the court made it, something worth appealing. Do you agree with the fact that we've got the Shiite group also in existence, but have not been prescribed per se? We've seen them challenge the Nigerian army, the former chief of army staff, where they even held him hostage, and killings have occurred. Why was it quick and easy for the government to prescribe IPOB, but for the Shiite group, it's still taking forever? Even recently, we had the Shiite group allegedly kill a policeman in the Federal Capital Territory here. So do you agree with IPOB saying that they seem to be the former AGF truly represented facts in order to get, it's like giving a dog a bad name to hang it?
You are looking at IPOB and the Shia. The terrorists, where are they from? Who are they? We have government in place. And it is said by one of our late head of states that when insecurity lasted for over 48 hours in a country, then government is relaxed about it. For me, I am not seeing anything about IPOB. They are agitating for their own right. Tell them why you are not granting what they are looking for. As far as I am concerned. And if the court has prescribed them, show them where the law says so. You see, for me, from my own point of view, holding that young man, Nnamdi Kanu, to the best of my ability, I don't think is the right thing to do. And prescribing IPOB, you are prescribing IPOB where there are other organizations that are so violently prone within the country. What are you saying about them? Nigeria is for all of us. It's not for only one segment alone. What is good for the North should equally be good for the South. You understand? So, for me, government is not hitting the case the way it should be. And that is why you are hearing IPOB, sit at home, this and that. Where government is on ground, where the system works, who is that will tell a segment of the country not to go out in a day? And then it persists for years. And you are talking IPOB. What is IPOB? What have they done? I've not seen them doing anything, as far as I'm concerned.
Do you agree with IPOB, who says that declaring IPOB, prescribing IPOB is tantamount to declaring 30 million Nigerians of Igbo extraction as terrorists?
Of course. What do you want them to say? They are not being fair. If you want to prescribe IPOB, prescribe the Shias. Prescribe all other militant groups. And make it mandatory for the security to take them seriously. It's as simple as that. So you can't just come and carry one section of whatever name you give to them, IPOB or no IPOB. As far as I'm concerned, they are agitating for their own interest. So if you are not ready to grant them their interest, let them be.
Do you see this present administration and also the Chief Justice of Nigeria being able to, rescind that decision? And do you agree with the fact that the former AGF, Abubakar Malami, in agreement with the former president, made it easier because they were of the same leaning?
That is not entirely true, but I want you to look at it from this way, that what is good for the goose is equally good for the gander. You don't just get up and say you are prescribing this. As far as I am concerned, like I told you, if you are prescribing militancy or those that you perceive that are dangerous, are threats to the sovereignty of the country, prescribe them once and for all, not being selective. That is why I said holding that young man, Nnamdi Kanu, set a signal to the eastern flank that one of their own is being held unjustly. That's how they see it. There's one other guy who talked about this IPOB thing. They call him somebody Ekpa. I think he's in Finland or thereabout. If you are holding such a person who has been talking openly from that country, it's a different thing. Nnamdi Kanu, you went and brought this man from Kenya, and they've been holding him since that time. IPOB, and the judiciary will not come up with a stand. What new thing do you think?
Justice Binta Nyako had told the federal government and Nnamdi Kanu to seek outside court resolution to the matter. Doesn't that go to show that the government didn't have a strong case against him and should have been let go?
Absolutely.
So what do you think he's been still held?
I think that his incarceration do have political undertone, as I said. Otherwise, that young man cannot be a threat to this country.
Do you think the leaders of the Southeast have done enough to help his cause?
What have they done? You have governors from the Southeast. You have members of House of Assembly. You have their members at the National Assembly, House of Reps, and senators are there. They are all from the eastern flank. Once a decision is taken by them with one voice, this matter would have gone over ever since. So I think they are not talking with one voice. That's how I see it from that perspective.
All right, let's move on to the education sector, where the meeting between the federal government and the Joint Action Committee of Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Associated Institutions and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities on Thursday ended in a deadlock. The meeting, which was held at the Federal Ministry of Education, was led by the former Minister of State for Education, Dr. Yusuf Sununu, and aimed at discussing issues around the ongoing strike of the unions. The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Education, Nasir Gwazo, was also in attendance at a meeting. And on Monday, the JAC, SANU, and NASU embarked on indefinite strike over its 4-month withheld salary. Since then, activities have been grounded in universities across the country. The issue, isn't this funny that the federal government seem, I don't know how to describe this. The 4-month withheld salary for ASU members were afterwards paid. Why we hold that of SANU and other unions, knowing fully well they're all part of the education system? Now, it looks at the government. How would you describe government's, investment in education or taking the education sector?
For me, I think government is taking education sector in this country, is treating it with levity. You see, when you educate people less than what they are supposed to get from the university, you will equally be grooming half-baked people out of the university. You are not paying SANU, you are not paying NASU, and so on. Why are you holding their money? What for? They've agreed to pay them. Pay them off. The money is there. The money is there. Why are they withholding the money? What is the bottleneck for? We are talking about education here. Education is the bedrock of every country's development. You educate your people, you turn them out, and let them know. You know, when you graduate from the university and you are doing your convocation, what they read out to you is you have been trained both in education and in learning, both in character and in learning. So you don't turn around. People have been at home for years without going to school, all because of strike. And yet, government, year in, year out, will continue to owe these people. What for?
Okay, one of the key issues why the meeting ended in a deadlock is the fact that the federal government, through Sununu, did not give a specific time frame, even when the federal government agreed they were going to pay. No specific time frame. And SANU and NASU is saying, we're not going to call off the strike until you give a specific deadline. Why do you think the federal government is not agreeing to give a deadline as to when they would make this payment?
They are not prepared to pay.
So why?
It is their sweat. They've worked for it.
So what do you think the federal government is calling for the meeting when they're not prepared to pay?
They are not prepared to pay. Who is even calling for the meeting in the first place? Is the commander-in-chief aware? If he is aware, he will not allow this thing to happen. I think I'm so certain that he's not aware. Otherwise, what is the Minister of Education doing? He will go and sleep. And
do you think there's something fishy? The fact that there's an outgoing Minister of Education must say that he's the person, convening the meeting rather than the substantive minister.
My brother, it's always like that. When you come, Nigeria is seen to be starting something at every point in time. They are always starting something. Government's supposed to be a continuum.
Yeah.
So if you come in, you need to look at the file, check what is minted there before you come in, and then you take it over from there. But no, he will start his own. So that's why the problem will continue to linger on. In our own case, government is not a continuum. When you come with your own idea of government. So you trash all the other ones that were hatched by professors, seasoned administrators, and then you bring in your own technocrats.
On the part of the unions, do you think they should probably have another model or a different approach to achieving their aim? Do you think this approach?
How do you want their voice to be heard? It's through the strike. They down tool. And once they down tool, it's just that once they down tool, it affects their children that are in that school. Otherwise, left for them and the lecturers and the workers, they won't pay them. They will continue to talk year in, year out. This flood matter we are talking about, let me just refresh your memory. The flood within Niger, Kogi, Edo, Ondo, and Ogun State did not start today. So if they've been working within the last 20 years, by now they would have been close to the solution. But no. They won't do it. Only God knows when this type of situation will be taken care of, and the type of people that will come into the mainstream that will take Nigeria first. They don't think about the citizen. They are there up there, but they believe that they will not come down again. That's their belief. But sometimes, let me go spiritual here. When you answer the Supreme Court, do you know who dig your grave? They will die and leave the money. I don't know who told them they will live to see tomorrow.
Sad commentary. Let's move on to tax matters where the 36 state governors of the Federation have unilaterally demanded the immediate withdrawal of the National Tax Reforms Bill, delivering a significant strategic blow to the comprehensive effort undertaken by the Taiwo Oyedele-led Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reforms Committee. The governor, speaking during the National Economic Council and Nigeria's highest economic advisory board meeting on Thursday, asked President Bola Tinubu to withdraw the reforms bill from the National Assembly for more comprehensive consultations. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde announced this as part of resolutions reached at the Council's 144th meeting chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. Makinde told journalists that the Council members agreed that it was necessary to allow for consensus building and understanding of the bills among Nigerians. The meeting, which included a presentation by Oyedele, ultimately failed to persuade the governors regarding Tinubu's plan to overhaul the taxation system aimed at achieving effective economic growth and increasing the tax to gross domestic product ratio. President Bola Tinubu and the Federal Executive Council meeting recently sponsored a bill to restructure and streamline tax processes, establish a unified revenue service, and simplify financial obligations for businesses and citizens. The reforms stem from a month-long review of existing tax laws by the Oyedele-led committee inaugurated in August 2023. These tax reforms have been causing a lot of issues. Do you think once a bill seemed not to favor the governors, they would stand firm against it? And with this, do you see this seeing the light of day anytime after this, rejection?
I doubt much, because the governors will always have their way. I doubt much. You can see that they are threatening both the ICPC and the EFCC by instituting cases against them, against their constitution, that it was not the establishment, that it was not done within their consent. So when you look at governors coming up with frivolous ideas that does not go in tandem with the spirit of the citizenry, how do you say about it? It will not work. It will not. They will just conspire against the government, and it will not see the light of day.
But on the let me seem to play the devil's advocate. But was it fair on the part of the presidency and the Oyedele-led committee to start such a process without carrying the governors and the relevant agencies and institutions along in these tax reforms, because it concerns them also?
Like you rightly said, when it does not favor them, that is when you see them ranting. That's when it doesn't favor them. If it favors them, what are they doing? Apart from Lagos, Rivers, Kano maybe, and some other few states. Which state is generating, what is their IGR? What is their IGR? They will collect money and come down to Abuja to collect money at the end of every month, and that's it. Sharing the national cake. Abuja Lokoja Benin Road has been on for the past 20-something years. Up till now, from Abuja to Lokoja, they've not gotten down there for over 20 years. So why wouldn't they fight? Why wouldn't they do what they are doing?
Okay, let's look at one of the clauses in the tax is the fact that these monies are supposed to all be channeled to the center for disbursement. Some are saying the issue is that some states who generate more revenue, who have IGRs that are fat, will be contributing more to the center, while those who also do not even contribute that much will also benefit at the end of the day, making it the sharing formula unequal and unjust. Do you think that's a very good argument on their part?
In the local parlance, they said, monkey they walk, baboon they chop. That's just the meaning. You chop where you walk. That is why it's called walk chop. You chop where you walk. You are not producing anything. What are they even producing? Some of them are getting 13% derivation and some are not getting. You understand? And it has been like that all over the years. So it's not a new thing. It will not see the light of day. That's my position.
All right, let's see how this is going to pan out in the coming days and weeks between the presidency and the state governors. But just looking at the fact that this work has been done, the resources that have been invested in this tax reform matter, do you think it should be worth looking into furthermore?
Of course.
Do you think the presidency can push?
Yes, it's better for him to judge her than war. Let them sit down and discuss on our behalf. Unfortunately, on our behalf.
All right, let's just move on quickly to Rivers State, where the National Democratic Front, NDF, has called on the Chief Judge of Nigeria to, as a matter of urgency, talking about Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun, to intervene in what it described as a severe erosion of integrity within the Nigerian judiciary. Recall that there's been a disturbing judgment emanating from the crisis in Rivers State. Earlier in the week, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, John Soso, had a summon before the pro panel of the National Judicial Council, NJC, over judgment being churned out by his court in respect to cases of Rivers political crisis. Reacting to the development on Thursday, the NDF accused former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike's cronies of causing trouble in Rivers, alleging that their actions threaten both President Bola Tinubu's administration and the judiciary standing. Do you think are they stating the obvious, and do you think the CJ, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, has the political or the guts to do the needful?
With due respect to Nigeria, my country, judiciary that is supposed to be the hope of the common man has decided to ridicule their decisions like this. I take you back to Edo State. When Governor Baseki was having issue with members of the House of Assembly, in their own case, they did not even defect. But he chased them off. Only 9 members presented budget to him. Till today, nothing has happened. But in the case of Rivers, the 27 lawmakers defected. I don't know what the law says about it anyway.
The law says that any person who was elected into a position, once you defect, you automatically lose your seats.
That's what the law says, that I know. But look at that judgment from the High Court here in Abuja. I mean, for God's sake, judiciary, let me tell you, they should try to nurse this our nascent democracy. Otherwise, judiciary will end up destroying Nigerian democracy. Because you lose election from the poll, you go to the judiciary. then they will get it back for you. Either by crook or hook, they will get it back for you. You understand? We are watching the judiciary. We are watching them, and I want, by the grace of God, if the commander-in-chief is listening to us, if he's seeing us, I want him to scrutinize judiciary. They should purge them.
But do you think he's not aware of the continuous interference by his own minister, which he appointed, in the troubles in Rivers State? Is he not aware?
Let's assume so.
He's aware because he intervened in the beginning. So can he pretend not to be aware? And he's doing his bidding also technically.
That interference at that time was because he's the commander-in-chief. The governor is the chief security officer of the state, and once he presides, no minister from anywhere.
But don't you think if the president truly wanted the rift to end, he would have called his minister to order?
That is why I said it's obvious. It's obvious. Corruption is still the yardstick that is being used here. When the president is aware of what is happening, if the president is not calling his minister to order, you want the defected members of the House of Assembly to go and sit somewhere and impeach the sitting governor? Even if the governor is your son, even if you brought in your son as the governor, once you take that oath as the chief executive of the state, your power ceases. For instance, the minister, Nelson Wike, very sweet man. The man is doing a lot of things, except he has his own flaws as a human being, from the way I see it. Otherwise, for me, if I'm one of his advisors, I'll tell him to leave the governor alone. So many people have governed that state. They left that place and went retired to their quiet environment. You can't be here and there. It's not possible. The law does not permit that.
Do you foresee the Pandef and men, they're all already insinuating that there might be more chaos in Rivers State that would affect the country?
I'm very much sure they are talking from the background now. They will not allow it. What is happening in Rivers? It's only Rivers State that you are hearing now. It's happening in other states. What of Kaduna State? Are you not aware of what is happening in Kaduna State? Between the governor and the last governor of the state? It's not a new thing. They know that if they don't manage this crisis well, they will break the camel's back. And then they want to push the country into lawlessness. That is why I keep hammering on the judiciary. They should stop what they are doing. They should stop what they are doing and attack the issues, the main issues, frontally.
Do you think they can? Because it's who plays the piper dictates the tone.
Well,
and the government, as long as the presidency, the government pays the judiciary, decides how they get their money, their funding. So
a trial will convince them. Let them continue to play to the gallery, play into the hands of the executive. They will use them and dump them. Have you forgotten here in this country where Supreme Court judges were bulldozed into their various homes, all in the aim of trying to search for dollars that they are stashing in their various houses? Are we daft? Are we being cowed into submission? No. There are three arms of government: the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. These three organs have to work as checks and balances to themselves. If they don't check themselves, if they don't purge themselves of these things that is the monster that is rolling its head out, by the time they let it loose, they will know what it means for crisis to be in Lagos, crisis to be in Kano, crisis to be in Calabar, crisis to be in Abuja. They will know the meaning.
All right, on that very strong note, that's how we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk. I want to say a big thank you to Abdul Wahab Adebu, who is a national political analyst, for joining us in the studio. And thank you for your deep analysis of all the talking points we shared today.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you very much.
All right, that's how we call it a wrap on today's edition of the program, The Desk, and that's the weekend edition. Hopefully, we'll be joining you on Monday when we look at other big issues making the round across the globe, and definitely concerning Africa's largest country, talking about Nigeria. My name is Anthony Momodu, saying thank you for being part of The Desk.